Alright, hi guys and welcome back. So we're going to continue our discussion about process essays, the first type of essay we're going to discuss this week. And next week we're going to look at another type of essay until the end of the semester. Process essays. We're going now to watch a video, an educational video about the process essays. This video captures the essence of process essays. So let's pay attention to it, watch it together, and then summarize it to know the main points of the essay, the video.
A process paragraph or process essay is meant to explain how to do something or describe how something is done. And there are two ways that you can show process. The first kind is what we call instructional process or directional process. Now in this case, you're explaining to the reader how to perform a task, or how to do something, or how to make something. For instance, how to operate a machine, how to build something like a doghouse, or how to make pancakes. Now you're giving the reader a set of instructions to follow, and you're expecting that the reader will be able to perform the task after they've read your paragraph. So in this case, you are speaking directly to the reader. You're using words like you, or you're using the imperative. Now, while this is quite common in daily life in something like a recipe book or an instruction manual, it's not as common as the second kind in the academic world. Now, the second form of process is what we call informational process or descriptive process. Now in this case, you're not giving the reader instructions to follow. You're simply describing a process in order for the reader to understand it. So for example, how does a Hollywood movie go from being an idea to a completed film? Or how is maple syrup produced? Okay, so here are some tips on how to write an effective process paragraph or essay. First, you should be using the present simple tense and the passive voice, generally. Now you want the present simple because you're describing a recurring action, a process that is unchanging. It was the same yesterday as it will be tomorrow. And you're using the present, or the passive voice, because you want to focus more on the product itself and not so much on the person who's performing the task. For example, maple syrup is made from sap, which is collected from maple trees. Okay, now when you're organizing the steps in your process, you want it to be logical for the reader. So you should be using words that express sequence, like first, second, then, next, or finally. For example, first, maple trees are tapped and the exuded sap is collected in buckets. Now while it's important to use words that show sequence, you don't want to use a sequence word at the beginning of every sentence. You don't want to be saying first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. You want to avoid repetition. So an easy way to do that is to use pronouns and relative clauses. For example, the syrup is filtered to remove sugar crystals. This creates a superior product free of an unpleasant gritty texture. So the word this is referring to the entire sentence beforehand. And also you may want to include some definition in your process writing, because oftentimes when you're explaining the steps of a process, you may be using words that are unfamiliar to the average reader. Just as an example, in my first sentence, maple syrup is made from sap, which is collected from maple trees. Someone may not know what sap is, so you may want to be a little bit more clear, because the key is that you want your process to be as clear as possible. Okay, so if you follow these steps, you will be able to write an effective process paragraph. And if you want to practice this, follow the link at the end of this video.
All right. So, in this video, we've come to know that there are basically two types of a process essays. One is related to how to do something, and the other is related to how something is done or being done. So the directional process essay directs the reader, instructs the reader as how to do something. It tells the reader, informs the reader how to do something, how to operate a machine, how to use a mobile phone, how to make a cupcake. So how to directional, so the name or the label or the title, directional. It is called directional because it directs the reader as what to do. The other type is informational or descriptive process essays. In informational process essays, you are explaining to the reader how something is done, rather than how to do something. You're focusing on the process, how something is done. Let me rewind a bit. To start with, a process essay describes or explains something. It describes or explains the steps in a process. And so generally the purpose of a process essay is to inform, whether it's through description or explanation, to inform rather than persuade or entertain. The purposes, the three main purposes of a piece of writing: to inform, to transform or persuade, and to entertain. Process essays inform. They inform through describing or explaining. So explanation and description come under the category of inform. Writings that are meant to inform, informative writings. So process essays then describe or explain in steps a process. We've said that there are two ways to deal with this. Am I losing connection? We've said that there are two ways to do it. To instruct the reader how to do something, the steps involved in a process, how to do something. For example, to make an easy egg salad sandwich, you need to follow these three steps. Or there are three steps involved in making an easy egg salad sandwich. So first, you need to get some eggs, boil them. Next, you need to get some mayonnaise and then mix it with the eggs. So you are telling the reader what or how to do something. Are you following me? Is the internet connection fine? And this. Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Yes,
So,
I don't know how much should I rewind or repeat.
it's okay, you can continue.
And this type of essay, process essays, the directional or instructional type of essay is the kind of process essay common among many people. The other type is usually used in technical or scientific writings. The informational or descriptive process essay is usually used in scientific or technical fields. For example, used to describe biological processes such as how food is digested, or chemical processes such as photosynthesis, and technical processes such as how a diesel engine works, or simply how it rains. The rain, how it rains. So there is a process involved in raining. Raining does not just come down like that in a minute. There are steps. I don't know the steps, but maybe you probably recall from your school, since you are still a recent school leaver, the process of rain. I don't know even what we call it, but there are steps. The water evaporates, the sea goes up, clouds. It's a process. So an essay discussing this process, how it rains, will be what we call a descriptive or an informational process essay, explaining to you in steps how something is done, how it rains. So this type of process essays, descriptive, informational, as I said, is more common in technical and scientific writings. But the kind of essays that you write, that they will ask you to write, most likely directional or instructional. These have practical applications rather than scientific or technical applications. For example, explaining how to choose a major, or how to find a new job, or how to make, as I said, a certain dish. So these are directional. So these are the two major process essays. Now, in the video, we also listen to some tips. I will summarize these tips into 4 tips. I will use a chat. Lama, the connection again.
Sir, can you hear us?
I can. It's disappointing, Vanessa, when the internet, the network connection keeps.
Lagging, sir.
Sorry. The challenges are legion. Challenges are many. So these are the two types of process essays: directional versus descriptive. Directional, used in common process essays, how to do something, how to apply for a job, how to walk out naked without being embarrassed, how to operate a certain machine. So the other type, hello?
Sir, we can hear you.
The other type is,
We can hear you well, sir.
thank you.
Yeah,
The
just
other
keep
type,
dancing, yes.
it's really demotivating. The other type is used, as I said, in technical writings, the descriptive process essay or informational. You're providing information or describing how a process is done or takes place. Like, as I said, how it rains. In the video also we listen to some useful tips about process essays. I will summarize these tips and write them in the chat. So the tips The first tip is to use the present simple. When writing a process essay, the right or the best tense to use is the present simple. Why? And why the present simple? Why the present simple? Because the present, I have misspelled present, which should be E. The present simple, if you recall, amongst other things, expresses facts. When we use the present simple, we express facts, amongst other things like habits, routine, etc., etc. And when we talk about a process, we're talking about facts. So whether this is a technical process, a descriptive process essay, or a non-technical process, a directional essay, how to make a certain dish, how to make nasi lemak. So in either case, these are facts. Okay, not hard facts as the sun rises in the east, but they're still loose facts. Like first to make a nasi lemak, you need to get this, you need to get that, you need to get this, you need to do this, or how to make rendang, or a certain dish, or whatever. So you are talking about facts. So you should use the present simple. You're describing a process that doesn't change. Whether you want to make nasi lemak today or nasi lemak in a year's time, the process won't change. So you're talking about facts. So you should use the present simple. Notice that in process essays, you usually use the second person, the pronoun, the second person. In a previous class, we talked about when we talked about audience as one of the 5 elements of good writing. Audience, we've said you need to pay attention to, or at least you should be aware of what person you want your writing to be in. First person, I, we, or second person, addressing someone, you, or third person, he, she, it, as in telling a story. And we've said that in academic writing, the third person is usually used. In academic scientific writing, the third person is usually used, not the first or the second. But the second is largely used when you give directions, when you give instructions. And so it is used in process essays. So back to our example, how to make pizza. So you are addressing the listener, the addressee. First you need, you. Second, after that you need to blah, blah, so you. So it is common in process essays. So the first tip to remember is to use the present simple. Another tip is to use the passive voice. To use the passive voice. So present passive, using the passive, not the active voice in process essays is common. Again, because you are describing or explaining a process. Explaining a process as in directional process essays, or describing a process as in descriptive essays, process essays. You are describing a process, and so your focus is on the process, not who does it. You are focusing on the process, not who does it, not the agent, not the subject, not the speaker. In the video we saw some examples. I will replay the video again after this summary. You are focusing on the process, and so it's not you. You're not focusing on on who does the process, because regardless of who does the process is the same. We're concerned with how something is being done rather than who does it. We're concerned with how something is done rather than who does it. So this is then you know a type of writing where the passive voice might be used. A third tip is to use discourse markers. Again, what Vanessa and the other presenter, Kate, described as the phrases and transitional expressions. So you need to use discourse markers that indicate sequence. So you need to use sequential indicators. Sequential indicators. Can you see this? Sequential indicators. Discourse markers of sequence that indicate the sequence, the steps in a chronological order, in a time order. So first, second, third, the first step, the second step, the third step, after that, finally. So you need to use discourse markers of sequence, or as I call them, sequential indicators. They indicate the sequence in the steps in a process. Discourse markers, of course, are a feature of any piece of writing. Any piece of writing. Because without which this will affect cohesiveness and coherence. So you need them to help achieve coherence, to make the text cohesive and coherent. But here we're talking about a specific type of discourse markers, and that is the sequential discourse markers that indicate sequence. Another tip number 4, is to use definitions. So you may use definitions. You're talking about a process. So especially in technical essays, informational or descriptive essays, you may use some technical terms that need to be explained to the reader. So if you use, for example, photosynthesis, as you explain how, light, this process, so you need to explain. If there are technical terms, then you need to provide definitions for these terms. All right. There are 3 steps involved in making ملوخية. So ملوخية might be a term that is not known to the reader. So you need to explain what ملوخية is. Provide a definition. All right. Where are we? So these are the 4 tips. Let's watch the video again, and I will try to go to the video directly from the using the tab that directly takes us to the video on the internet, so that the quality of the sound and audio and video will be better. And then we're going to look at the exercises in the textbook. Stop presenting. So I will represent the video, which I have just summarized, but I will choose a tab for best, which is best for video and animation. Let me, I think it is called process essays. What is YouTube? All right, here we are. So Sean. Process paragraph, is it this one? Let's see.
Engaged customers like Jenna, who's been searching for landscapers on Google. So when she watches YouTube,
A process paragraph or process essay is meant to explain how to do.
The video is stopped, Doctor.
A process paragraph or process essay is meant to explain how
All
to
right,
do something,
is it okay
or
now?
describe how something is done. And there are two ways that you can show process. The first kind is what we call
City,
instructional
is it
process
okay?
or directional process. Now in this case,
Not
you
really.
explain to the reader.
Not really.
We can what the man say.
If it's not really, then let me try to use the window rather than this, but it's usually clearer using this method of presenting. Stop presenting, and I will present using the entire screen again. Share. Go to my folder here.
A process paragraph or process essay is meant to explain how to do something
It's a lot
or
better.
describe how something is done. And there are two ways that you can show process. The first kind is what we call instructional process or directional process. Now in this case, you're explaining to the reader how to perform a task, or how to do something, or how to make something. For instance, how to operate a machine, how to build something like a doghouse, or how to make pancakes. Now you're giving the reader a set of instructions to follow, and you're expecting that the reader will be able to perform the task after they've read your paragraph. So in this case, you are speaking directly to the reader. You're using words like you, or you're using the imperative. Now, while this is quite common in daily life in something like a recipe book or an instruction manual, it's not as common as the second kind in the academic world. Now, the second form of process is what we call informational process or descriptive process. Now in this case, you're not giving the reader instructions to follow. You're simply describing a process in order for the reader to understand it. So for example, how does a Hollywood movie go from being an idea to a completed film? Or how is maple syrup produced? Okay, so here are some tips on how to write an effective process paragraph or essay. First, you should be using the present simple tense and the passive voice generally. Now you want the present simple because you're describing a recurring action, a process that is unchanging. It was the same yesterday as it will be tomorrow. And you're using the present or the passive voice because you want to focus more on the product itself and not so much on the person who's performing the task. For example, maple syrup is made from sap which is collected from maple trees. Okay, now when you're organizing the steps in your process, you want it to be logical for the reader. So you should be using words that express sequence, like first, second, then, next, or finally. For example, first, maple trees are tapped and the exuded sap is collected in buckets. Now while it's important to use words that show sequence, you don't want to use a sequence word at the beginning of every sentence. You don't want to be saying first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. You want to avoid repetition. So an easy way to do that is to use pronouns and relative clauses. For example, the syrup is filtered to remove sugar crystals. This creates a superior product free of an unpleasant gritty texture. So the word this is referring to the entire sentence beforehand. And also, you may want to include some definition in your process writing, because oftentimes when you're explaining the steps of the process, you may be using words that are unfamiliar to the average reader. Just as an example, in my first sentence, maple syrup is made from sap, which is collected from maple trees. Someone may not know what sap is, so you may want to be a little bit more clear, because the key is that you want your process to be as clear as possible. Okay, so if you follow these steps, you will be able to write an effective process paragraph. And if you want to practice this, follow the link at the end of this video.
All right. Okay, let's now browse through the pages of chapter 5, process essays. We are now on page 102. We're going to whiz through these pages and look at the exercises, practice. Are we now on page 102? Please, all the class, let's work on the practice exercises. All right, you can of course ask me any question anytime. Okay, so we should look at the second page, 103. You have a table of the most common discourse markers or sequential indicators used in process essays. Okay, practice. Complete the paragraph with words and the phrases from the chart, with sequential indicators from the chart, this transition words for a process essay. Take about 5 minutes to work on this practice. There could be more than one sequential indicator for each blank. So take 5 minutes to work on this exercise. Use a pencil in case you may have to erase your answer. All right. So let's begin with who should we take first? Maybe we can take Thasha. So Thasha, begin the paragraph. Complete the first blank.
Okay. Do you avoid parking on the busy streets because you are not good at parallel parking? Believe it or not, parallel parking is not as difficult as you think, especially if you follow these steps. First, find a parking spot that is big enough for your car.
All right, thanks. So first, what else? What other sequential indicators can we use?
May I try, sir?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Quick.
The first step.
The first step. So we can use first or the first step. All right, Luke, move on.
Next, use your turn signal to let other drivers know that you are going to park.
Very good. What another sequential indicator can we use from the chart?
We can use the next step.
The second step.
Alright.
Secondly,
The second step. Do we have second?
what about secondly?
So, since we want to choose it from the chart, then the next step. Fine. Vanessa, move on.
Then use your turn signal to let Then pull ahead of the spot until you are next to the car park in front of the spot. Your rear bumper should be.
Yeah, well, where are you? Excuse me. You.
Huh? At number 3, sir.
Wait a minute. We've said first or first slash the first step. Find a parking spot that is big enough for your car. Next,
Yes.
slash, the next step. Use your turn signal to let other drivers know that you are going to park. Okay, Vanessa.
Then, the third step, pull ahead of the spot until you are next to the car park in front of the spot. Your
Enough.
right
Do not.
push-
Just one blank. Do not. What else can we use here?
The third step,
The third step. If you say the first step, the next step, so you should use the third step here. What else can we use?
then
What else can we use?
After that,
After that, and by the way, I am using after that, and then I am using then later on. So after that, or the third step, blah 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 blah. Okay. Your rear bumper should be even with that car's rear bumper. Okay. Nor Patricia, carry on. City.
After that, put the car in reverse and start braking up slowly.
Okay. If you used then before, then after that here. But I used after that before, so I'm using then here. After that, then. Alright, what else can we use?
next,
We've already used next, so maybe then or after that, depending on whether you used then before or after that before. Okay, so put the car in reverse and start backing up slowly. Alright, Nur Yasmin, can you try the next?
As soon as the car starts moving, turn the wheel as far as it will go towards the curb and back slowly and carefully into the space. As soon as.
Let's see. As soon as the car starts moving, can you think of other choices of other sequential indicators that might be more accurate?
While
While
the
while the car while the car starts moving.
Other options that might be more accurate?
When, sir?
When the car starts moving.
Okay, is the question, is it, I mean, try to imagine reversing a car this way, parallel parking, trying to park a car this way. Is it as soon as, or while, or when, or before the car starts moving? Turn the wheel. When should you turn the wheel? As far as it will go. When should you do that? Before the car starts moving?
Before.
Or as soon as a driver, I have it chosen before. I mean, here's the meaning. It's not that the others are incorrect in terms of, but I feel that before actually, because it's a small space. Not as soon as or while, it's a small space. So maybe before you need to, before the car starts moving, you need to turn the wheel as far as it will go toward the curb and back slowly and carefully into the space. Okay, next, Anisa.
As your friend walks, even with the rear bumper of the car in front of you, begin turning the steering wheel in the opposite direction
So,
away from the car.
when should you begin? Blah 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 begin. Sorry?
As soon as?
Maybe as soon as your front door is even with the rear bumper of the car in front of you, begin, or when. I think any of these indicators is logical. When or as soon as. So you have to be logical in your choice of, because you're explaining things in a process. Okay. Continue to turn the steering wheel away from the curb as you slowly back into the space. Muhammad Azad, the last one. Well, I've already given you a hint or a giveaway. By saying the last one, I've already given you a hint. This is a giveaway. A piece of information that reveals the answer. Azad? So this guy is absent. Alright, we'll take him absent out of the class. Nur Madiha, the last one. City Sufura. So let me tick these guys as being absent before I forget. Sufura, absent. Madiha and Azad. Alright. Siva Roshini. Alright, this is also absent. Nur Halwana.
Yes, doctor.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Alright. Nur Iza.
Aster?
Nor Isa. One more absentee. Nor Aina Akila.
Yes, doctor.
Alright, how are you?
Fine, doctor. Thank you.
Come on, you know what they want. Hurry up. Nor Aina, what are you doing?
Oh, wait. I will read the last question. Finally, straighten out the steering wheel and drive forward or back in the space until your car is centered between the car in front of you and the one behind you.
Okay.
Finally, doctor.
What another indicator can we use?
The last step.
One that will go with the first step, the next step, the third step. So,
The last step.
the last step. Are you sure? Nur Aina, Akila, are you sure?
Yes, doctor.
What?
Finally.
Finally, or the last step. Okay, move on, the next page. Thesis statements for process essays. Okay, there are now, we're going to look at the three, turn on your cameras everyone. There are three patterns, three sentence patterns that you can use to introduce your thesis. Any of them is okay. To introduce your thesis for a process essay. You can use any of these three constructions. Three constructions. The first construction is the it is construction or pattern. The second construction is the gerund construction using the gerund. And the third is the their construction. I am using the chat. Their construction. Let's look at examples. The first one using the it is. It is, look at the template on page 104. And then an adjective, it is easy, it is simple, it is not difficult, it is far from difficult. Plus 2, as you can see, it is easy to blah 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 if you have the right blah blah blah. Siti Khairun Nisa, can you read the examples of this pattern, this construction?
What page, doctor? You were actually lagging.
Page 104. Thesis statements for a process essays.
It is easy to change a flat tire if you have the right equipment. That is for it is. And Bulgarian is making a delicious omelette is easy.
Sidi, just read the three examples.
Yes.
Read the three examples under the it is pattern or construction.
Okay. Second one is it is easy to build a platform bed if you have the right materials. Third is it is not difficult to make a cheese
Souffle.
Souffle if you have the right ingredients. Souffle.
Yes.
Souffle. So what the next one?
No. So this is one way to construct your thesis statement for a process essay. It is simple to make, it is simple to make a nasi lama if you have the right ingredients. It is not difficult to make lasagna if you have the right ingredients. So this is one way to introduce your thesis statement, using it is plus an adjective, then a verb to make, to construct, if you have the right tools, equipment, ingredients, etc., etc. Another common way to introduce your thesis is to use the gerund. Who can remind us of what the gerund is? Last week's discussion, or the week before the last, the revising and editing a chapter. What is gerund? Who can remind us of what gerund is? What is gerund in grammar?
It's a passive sentence, right?
Sorry? Gerund
Is it a passive sentence?
no. Gerund we said 2 weeks ago is a type of noun.
A verb that works as.
Is a type of noun, and so it can be used in the subject position or the object position because it's a noun. A type of noun derived from a verb plus ing.
I only remember now.
And so it is a verbal noun. We defined it as a verbal noun. A noun derived from a verb. A noun derived from a verb. When you add ing to a verb and use it in the subject position or the object position, that's a noun. For example, crying over spilled milk is no use. So crying here is a noun. But when you use it with a verb, for example, I am talking to you. So talking here is a verb, present continuous. But when you use the verb and ing without am or is or are or was or were, that is in the subject position or the object position, it's a noun. Because I am talking, talking is in the verb position, it's a verb. I am talking. Talking is difficult in Japanese. So talking here is a noun, a verbal noun. Okay, so another common way to introduce or construct your thesis statement is to use the gerund. Look at the examples. The gerund plus is easy when you follow these steps, these directions, these instructions, this procedure, this system, etc., etc. So, can you read the examples, Siti?
Making a delicious omelette is easy when you follow these steps. Impressing your boss is easy when you follow these instructions. Parallel parking is easy when you follow these directions.
Alright. So as you can see, you use a gerund. Making a delicious omelette is easy when you follow these directions, when you follow these steps. Impressing your boss is easy when you follow these instructions, when you follow these directions. Notice that you can use here also if. Making a delicious omelette is easy if you follow these instructions or steps. So you can use if and when. But in construction number 1 or pattern number 1, you should only use if. For example, it is easy to change a flat tire if, not when. But in the second construction, you can use if or when. When or if. A third way, which is my favorite personally, my favorite way, is to use the there construction plus the verb involved. Involved in. For example, there are 3, 2, 4, 5, etc. some major main steps involved in, and then a verb plus ing, in making, in constructing, in delivering, in etc. etc. For example, City, go through the examples.
There are 3 major steps involved in studying for an exam. There are several major steps involved in growing a vegetable garden. There are several major steps involved in writing a good.
All right. So you may like one of these constructions more than the other. Any of these can introduce a thesis statement for a process essay, whether the it is or the gerund or the there construction, the one you like. Now let's experiment with all of these. Look at practice. Look at the practice and try to experiment. You have 5 minutes now to answer these questions. You have a topic, for example, how to write an essay. Write a thesis statement using one of these constructions. For example, writing a good essay is easier if you follow the 3 main steps. Can we use another construction for the same topic? Use the first construction, City. This is the gerund construction. Use the first pattern for the same topic. It is.
It is easy to write an essay if you follow this. If you follow 3 main steps.
Someone to use the third construction, Luke, for the same topic. Luke.
Yes, sir.
Thasha, number 3, use the third construction for the same topic. Thasha.
How to stay in shape.
Luke, keep it quiet for a while.
Yes, sir.
Thasha.
Okay, there are 3 main steps to follow to write a good essay.
No, use involved in. When you use there are, use involved in.
Can I try, Doctor?
Thasha.
There are 3 main steps involved in writing a good essay.
Yes. So now I want you to work on the rest of the topics. Use any of the constructions for each type, 1 or 2, and experiment with all of them. You have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
May I be excused?
Why do you want to be excused?
I need to send my mom to work.
Okay, before you send your mom to work, I will give you a topic and I want you to write a thesis for it.
Alright.
Statement.
Will do.
How to walk out on the street without naked without being embarrassed. How to walk out on the street naked without being embarrassed. Come on. Use the gerund. Construction.
What was the sentence again, sir?
What's the topic? The topic. The topic is how to walk out naked on the streets without being embarrassed. Use the gerund.
How to walk out. Walking out naked without feeling embarrassed is. Walking out naked without feeling embarrassed will be easier if you follow these main steps.
Excuse me. We've said that when we use the process essays, when we write the process essays, we should use the present simple to express facts. Again, do not use will, use the present simple. How to walk out on the streets naked without being embarrassed. Pravina, can you help him?
Okay.
What's the topic sentence again?
Alamak. How to walk out on the streets naked without being embarrassed. Luke, quickly.
Yes, sir.
What's your answer?
How to walk out naked without feeling embarrassed.
Use the gerund. Walking
Walking
out.
naked without feeling embarrassed.
It's easy if you follow these instructions.
It's easy, yeah. It's easy if you follow these instructions.
It's easy when you follow these steps or instructions.
Is easy if or is easy when? Which one?
It's easy one.
Easy
Easy if, sir.
I said both. You can use if or when. But in the first construction, the it is construction only if. So, okay, say it again. Say it again before you go to your mom.
Alright, walking out naked without feeling embarrassed is easier if you follow these instructions.
Notice that we can use the comparative. Easier, easier, not difficult. So you can change. You can change the word. These are just, like templates. You can. Alright, so if you follow these instructions. Okay? So later on I would like to know these instructions. Now you are in a hurry, so it's alright. Go to your mother.
Alright, thank you, sir.
You're
Sorry
welcome.
again.
It's alright. Guys, are you working on the exercise? Okay. All right, Vanessa, number 2. How to impress your teacher or boss?
Okay. There are several major steps involved in impressing your teacher or boss. Is that okay?
Excuse me?
There are several major steps involved in impressing your teacher or boss.
All right. Can you use another construction? Use the gerund.
Impressing your teacher or boss is easy when you follow these steps.
Fine. Servant, how to stay in shape? How to stay sexy, in shape? Servant? Okay.
So for this one, I use staying in shape is easy to follow when it's easy to follow when you have these directions, the perfect directions.
Again.
Staying in shape, staying in shape is easy when you follow these directions.
All right, thank you. Siva Roshini, how to make a pizza? Nurul Azira, how to make a pizza?
There are several major steps involved in making a pizza.
Nurul Aida, how to build a tree house? So one more absentee. Okay.
So, can I try this one?
Yes, please.
Okay. Building a tree house is uncomplicated when you follow these instructions. Is that correct?
Again.
Building a tree house is uncomplicated when you follow these instructions.
The problem with your voice is that it's so beautiful that it distracts me from the message whenever you say something. I forget about the content. I go with the quality of the voice, the music of the voice, the musicality of your voice. So that's why I ask you to say things again. Yes, your answer is correct. Have you thought of becoming a singer? Have you considered singing? All right. The best way to lose weight, Fatihatu.
It is easy to lose weight if you follow these directions.
Use the there construction.
There are several major steps involved in losing weight.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, suddenly the line.
It's alright. Nur Najwa.
I heard you say, do you want to be a singer?
Nur Najwa, how to make a beautiful flower arrangement? Quickly. Okay, Nur Najwa is absent. Here is a tick. Okay, Nur Hidayah. One more absentee. Nelly.
Okay, so there are several major steps involved in making a beautiful flower arrangement.
Nelly, number 8, using the gerund. Come on.
Decorating your dorm room is easy when you follow these steps.
Alright, City, how to pack for a weekend trip?
Packing for a weekend trip is easy when you follow these steps.
His role. How to quit smoking. Okay, his role is absent.
Is it me, sir? I'm sorry, I can't hear clearly.
Quickly, his role. Come on. So his role is absent. Okay. Nur Nadira, how to quit smoking? Use the there construction. Come on, begin with that.
Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Major
Sorry?
steps involved. There are several major steps involved, and quitting smoking.
Use the gerund.
There are several major steps involved.
Use the gerund. Quickly. Anisa, use the gerund.
Quitting smoking is easy when you follow these steps.
Or directions or instructions. Nur Halwana, have you come back or still absent?
Yes, doctor. I'm here.
Topic 11. How to network for a new job.
There are several major steps involved in
what?
in network for a new job.
In
In how to network for a new job.
Use network and add ing.
In networking for a new job.
Okay. Nur Shamsina. 12. How to relax after a stressful day at work or school. Fatihatu.
Relaxing after a stressful day at work or school is easy when you follow these steps.
How to make a new friends city.
Making a new friend is easy when you follow these steps.
Not just one friend, friends.
Oh, making new friends is easy when you follow these steps.
Okay. Writing process paragraphs. These are steps, as you can see, from assembling wood, nails, to cutting the pieces, to sanding each piece, to gluing one molding strip to each side piece, to nailing the side pieces to bottom, to nailing the top in place, to nailing the back piece in place, to painting the bookcase and shelf, to letting it dry, and then sliding the shelf into place. So this is a process paragraph about how to make a bookcase. Write a paragraph following these steps at home. Paragraph 2, read the following conversation between a student and a librarian, and then using the information from the conversation, write a paragraph about how to use a computerized index to do research. Now, I want you to have 5 minutes to read the essay on pages 109 and 110, analyzing a process essay. Read the essay because we're going to answer some questions after the essay. Have 5 minutes. How to make an object disappear. All right, done. Okay. First of all, What type of a process essay is this? Directional or descriptive? Which D? D. Directional or descriptive?
Directional.
It is directional, instructional, instructing the audience, the readers, how to make, telling them about how to make some magic tricks. Second question, what technique does the author use to introduce the topic? In other words, what hook strategy does he use? What is he using?
Questions.
Using the question strategy. So, have you ever wondered how magicians perform their amazing tricks? So, a question intrigues the reader to know the answer to. So, the reader might be hooked this way, interested in reading further. Okay, what's the thesis statement? Come on. What's the thesis? City Sufura, are you here?
That's right.
No, thanks. Nur Najwa, are you here? Because this is the easiest question. If I ask someone and who he or she does not know, I may fail you.
I'm sorry, which one, doctor?
Who is this?
Najwa.
Okay, what's the thesis for this essay?
Which essay?
Allahu Akbar.
Sorry, doctor, I was helping my parents.
Online learning is...
Yeah, it's a bit difficult. I'm sorry, doctor.
Which essay? Answer her, City. Tell her which essay.
It's how to make an object sphere on page 109.
The one you're supposed to have just read. Nabila. Nabila, are you here? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, doctor.
Okay, what is the thesis?
Making an object disappear is easy when you follow these steps.
What's this? What's this, Nabila? Answer me.
Is this statement?
Well, where did you get it from? What is it in the essay? Are you making your own? We've just read and have you read the essay on page 109? What can I say, Anisa? What can I say, Siti? What can I say, Fatihatu? Those who sympathize with me, what can I say? Those who feel my pain. Those who wish I had never been a teacher. A garbage collector would have been better. What can I say?
Maybe they are dealing with their families at home.
But is this time for the family or time for the class? I have a family too. Muhammad Fikrin, are you there? Or helping your family too?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is the thesis? What's the thesis statement for this essay? I think since I have videotaped this class, I think I should take the videotape and give it to the head of the English department.
So can I try?
You don't need to try even, Vanessa, because it's easy. I mean, we've always said that the thesis statement is placed at the bottom, the last sentence in the introductory paragraph. The last sentence in the introductory paragraph. So even if I had a dog in one of my classes and I said that, would have answered it. I mean, an inanimate. Oh, not inanimate, because the dog is still animate. But I mean, not a human being. Muhammad Fikran, what is the thesis statement in this essay?
It doesn't take a genius to learn most of the tricks as before, but if you follow the steps, you will be like one of the people you treat.
So it doesn't take a genius to answer my question. It doesn't take a genius to answer the simplest question. You don't need to have the IQ of an Einstein. It's not rocket science. You don't need to have the IQ of an Einstein. The thesis statement is the last sentence in the introductory paragraph. Okay, I want you to at home to contemplate the thesis statement, to take a look at it again, to look at the constructions we have discussed, and this one, so that when you write your own essay, when you construct your own solid thesis statement, you get it, you know. You make sure that it's really strong. Okay, at the beginning, someone's talked about the 3 points to make. Who can remind us of these 3 points? The 3 things that the thesis should state. It should state the topic. In this case, what is the topic? What is the topic in this case?
Making an object.
Look at the thesis.
The tricks, name of the tricks, like the phone.
Learning magic tricks. This is the topic. The topic. Magic tricks that can make an object disappear. Okay, now the second point is making a discussable point. What is the discussable point?
But if you follow these steps?
Steps to follow to make a magic trick. And what do you get a sense of what does this thesis statement indicate? The method of organization? I mean, do you get a feeling of what kind of a method of organization or pattern will be used?
Instructional method?
Process. The method is a process. Obviously, this is a process essay. This is a process essay. Because you talk about steps, so this must be a sequential essay or a process essay. So you get a sense, a feeling, so that the thesis does indicate what method of organization the author is going to use. Okay? So this is a process essay. Because you can see steps, the order of time, chronological order. Okay, what do we call the sentences that link the hook and the thesis, the ones in between? What do we call these sentences in the introductory paragraph? Remember, the introduction has the three elements: the hook, and at the first sentence or sentences constitute the hook, the last sentence the thesis, and the ones in between. What do we call these sentences in between? What do we call them? That make the transition from the hook to the thesis.
General statements.
General statements or connecting sentences or background information. Sentences that provide background information. Transition. Okay, move to the next page, to the questions. We've already answered the first question. The technique, we've said the hook is question. What process is the student describing? The process of what?
Process of making objects disappear.
An
especially in
object
magic.
disappear, yes. How is the information organized? We already answered this. How is the information organized?
In a process way.
Organized sequentially. Process. Sequentially, meaning using the sequential or a process essay. Remember, we call it process or sequential. Here's the reading textbook. Do you remember reading? I've already referred you to it today. Nor Yasmin, patterns of organization. Can you read this pattern here? D. Process or sequential, because indicates the sequence. Okay, make a list of the main steps in the process. What are the main steps used in this process of making an object disappear? What are the steps that the author talked about?
Decide what type of trick you want to perform.
These are the three topic sentences. So what are these steps? In each supporting paragraph, there must be a topic sentence containing that step. So what is the first one?
Decide what type of trick you want to perform.
Deciding, the first step is deciding what type of trick you want to perform. Okay, step number 2.
Learning and memorizing the basic steps of the trick.
At this point, you need to learn. Learning and memorizing the basic, yes. And the last step?
Perfecting a new trick.
Perfecting a new trick. To perfecting a new trick requires practice, practice, practice. Okay, what transitions or discourse markers did the student use to connect the ideas in the essay? What are the discourse markers he used to create connections, to create coherence?
The first
The
thing.
first thing.
The first thing.
First thing.
At this point.
The first thing at this point. Next.
The next.
The next.
The next. And the last paragraph.
As you can see.
As you can see. So these little devices can help create textual syntactic connectedness. They can create linking in the text, in creating some kind of linkage, lexical and grammatical linking. Okay, on the next page you find a template or the outline, a rough outline of the process essay. I've already shown you some templates. how to make an outline, and the outline should be part of the first step in the writing process, pre-writing. So in pre-writing, we said we generate ideas, we think, come up with some ideas using one of the techniques of generating ideas, and then we try to form or organize these ideas into a rough form using an outline. Done with that, you move on to drafting. So based on the ideas you've come up with, you start drafting. Look at the page 112, writing a process essay. In this activity, you will practice writing an essay that describes the steps in a process. So this is going to be your assignment for this week. Choose one of the following topics or your own topic to write about. You can also choose one of the topics on page 114. 114 on your own: how to find a job, how to apply to a university in your country or your states, how to make up with a friend after an argument, etc., etc. So use any of these topics, whether on page 114 or on page 112, how to write a good essay, for example, and then pre-write, draft, and then revise and edit. Follow these tips. Be conscious of whether your essay is going to be directional or descriptive. Usually, in your case, it's directional, because the other type, the descriptive or informational, is technical and scientific. Like, for example, they said explaining the water cycle, how rain is formed, the water cycle. So most likely it's going to be directional. You're giving just directions, how to do something, how to excel in something, how to construct something, how to get good results in an exam. So you're giving like directions or instructions. Remember the tips, the 4 tips. Use the present simple. You may use the passive, I don't know, it depends, because the passive might be used more in the descriptive process essay. Use definitions if you need to use a definition, if there's anything technical. There might not be any technical terms in your essay, since it is not technical, as I said, but in case, then use discourse markers of cohesion, like the ones in the chart in this book, to indicate the sequence and the logical or flow of your ideas or steps from one to the other.
I'm sorry, doctor, but I'm confused. So which one is our assignment of the week? Is it on page 114 or 108? Because you said earlier
the ones on 108 are not assignments, but you should do them on your own, as exercises on your own. But the assignment is this one. So the paragraphs, the ones on that page, I think, are paragraphs, not essays. The one about the computerized index, the librarian and the student who asked him about how to look for a journal article, and the earlier one about
but on page 114 is an essay, right?
Yes, 114 or 112. Choose a topic. How to wash a car, how to make rice, how to make tea, how to write a good paragraph, how to study for an exam, how to annoy your father, how to make a paper airplane, how to find a job, how to apply to a university, how how to start a business, how to walk out naked without clothes and without being embarrassed. So choose one of these topics and write your own essay. And then as usual, after you go through the process, pre-writing, drafting, revising, peer revision if possible, using the worksheet on page 113. After you make sure you've gone through the arms, checking the arms, the revision, and the cups, the editing, send your essay or sit together, exchange your essays, and then on a later day choose the best piece, send it to me along with the other pieces being attached, as usual. Okay, I think that's all. There is a paragraph on page 114, a recipe. You be the editor. So this is editing, not revising. So the micro process where you might find, problems or mistakes in grammar, in mechanics, in the cups. So the cups, the capitalization, the usage, the punctuation, and the spelling. So there are how many? There are 7 mistakes. This can be done also at home. In case you try your best and you cannot find the 7 mistakes, you can ask me in the next class and I'll tell you what the other mistake or mistakes that you couldn't spot are. That's it. I believe, theoretically speaking, you should be in a strong position now to produce a process essay with this kind of information or knowledge. You just need to put this into practice by practicing writing process essays. Next week we're going to look at another type, division and classification essays. If you have no questions, I shall end the class now. Any questions?
No.
Should I pack up and leave Malaysia or try to exercise patience? What's your advice? Exercise patience or pack up?
Very sorry.
Say it, Vanessa. Pack up?
No.
Go to hell?
If you leave Malaysia, we will miss you. Everyone gets.
Thank you for feelings, City. I think you will, but many others will not give a shit about it. Those who do not, listen to my classes, those who turn off the camera and go to bed, will not give a damn about it.
I'm sorry, I'm not opening my camera right now. I'm unable to. I'm actually having a huge headache.
Oh, I am so sorry about that. I know that you keep your camera on almost all the time, so if you turn it off, there must be a really good reason. Please, I adjure you. I think I wrote this word before to you, adjure. I adjure you to be punctual, to be serious, to be attentive, to prepare before you come to class, to pay attention in the class, and to follow up after the class. This is a process. Prepare before coming to class, pay attention in the class, and follow up after the class. So you can write an essay about how to be a good student. And these will be the controlling ideas in your thesis. Prepare before coming to class, be attentive in the class, and follow up after the class. So you may want to write an essay about how to be a good student or how to achieve good results. So your thesis will be the topic, the main topic will be is how to get good results, and the main sorry, the controlling ideas, the focus will be the three the three steps I've just mentioned: preparation before a class, attention in the class, and following up after the class. All right, that's it. Thank you for coming. I forgive those who did not pay attention, but please do pay attention in the future. Okay? See you next week.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you,
Thank you,
doctor.
doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.